Good day, everybody. This is Dara Joy Real. This topic is about learning theories. We are going to define what are learning theories, what are the types of learning theories, and why is it important for us, especially that we are learning to be a teacher in the future. Why is it important for us to study or know about learning theories? So I really hope that you listen well. So now, let's get started. Okay guys, let's begin. Let's start with the basic. Let's define first what is learning and what is a theory. Okay, so learning. Learning is the acquisition of knowledge or skills through experience, study, or by being taught. Learning involves acquiring and modifying knowledge, skills, strategies, beliefs, attitudes, and even behaviors. So that is learning. How about theory? What does theory means? Okay, so theory is a supposition or a system of ideas that are intended to explain something, including why or how something occurs. Theory is supported by a wide number of tests accepted by almost all scientists. Okay, so that is theory. We have learned the definition of learning and theory. Now, what are learning theories, which is the focus of this discussion? Okay, learning theories describes how students receive, process, and retain knowledge during learning. Learning theories help us understand both how knowledge is created and how people learn. Okay, so learning theories have limitations. It actually have limitations as learning is a complex phenomenon. Learning theories cannot provide us the complete and definitive answers to pedagogic questions. And when we say pedagogic, that means approach to teaching. So, learning theories cannot provide us the accurate answers when it comes to approach to teaching. However, learning theories can improve our understanding of how people or how learners really learn. Let's proceed. I have here 5 types of learning theories. The first theory is behaviorism. So in behaviorism, they describe the students as empty vessels waiting to be filled with knowledge. What does that mean? So basically, in behaviorism, they look at students as blank slates. Blank slate with no prior knowledge or experience and passive entities just waiting to respond and react to the teacher's guidance. So in behaviorism, they believe the idea that behaviors are acquired through conditioning, and conditioning occurs through interaction with the environment. Behaviorists actually believe that our responses to environmental stimuli shape our actions. Okay, so question: how do learning occurs in behaviorism? Learning occurs in behaviorism through repetition. The teachers use positive and negative reinforcement, as well as rewards and punishments. Okay, so positive reinforcement is an extremely powerful tool that has proven to help change and create new behavior to the learner. An example of that, we have an example of positive reinforcement right here. It is when we give a child 5 stars on his or her paper every time she or he gets a perfect score. That is the example of positive reinforcement. How about negative reinforcement? Okay, so let's say, for example, a student dislikes being reminded to take his shoes off inside the classroom. So, if the teacher removes or decreases the reminder, it is more likely that the student may remove his shoes to avoid hearing the reminders. That is negative reinforcement. Instead of being rewarded with an item for making positive choices, an item is removed after a specific behavior is shown. Okay, so another question, in behaviorism, why do they use rewards and punishments? Okay, so according to B.F. Skinner, who is a behaviorist, rewards increases the likelihood that behaviors will be repeated, while punishments decrease the likelihood of repetition. B.F. Skinner also theorized that rewards and punishments could be either positive or negative in nature. What B.F. Skinner meant was that when the teacher gives or adds something to the environment, the interaction is positive. Whereas when the teacher takes something away to the environment, the interaction is negative. For example, is when the teacher removes a difficult activity from the lesson. That might be a negative reward for the student. While adding a difficult activity to the lesson might be a positive punishment for the student. So students who receive positive reinforcement are more likely to retain information to move forward in learning. That is a direct result of the behaviorism theory. One thing to remember in behaviorism, guys, is in behaviorism, they use reinforcements, rewards, and punishments. So that is behaviorism. Next is Cognitivism. Cognitivism is a learning theory developed by John P.J. Okay, this theory is actually in contrast to behaviorism. John P.J. actually rejected the idea of behaviorism. He rejected the idea that behaviors of the learners are influenced and learned from external forces rather than internal forces. John P.J. rather believed that the behaviors of learners are not influenced just by the environment. In cognitivism, it understands that learners can be influenced by both internal and external elements. So instead of focusing solely on observable behavior, cognitive theory seeks to explain how the mind works during the learning process. Alright, so in cognitivism, they look at the mind as a computer. The mind is an information processor. The mind takes in information, processes that information, then uses that information to produce learning outcomes. In cognitivism, the teacher gives lots of encouragement and feedback. In this theory, in cognitivism, students learn most effectively through reading text and lecture instruction. So examples of cognitivist strategies we have here. Teachers start a lesson with a hook to create interest in learners. Teachers give a review quiz to promote prior learning, and they present their lecture through visual or audio format. So cognitive learning theory impacts students because their understanding of their thought process can help them learn better. Teachers can give students opportunities to ask questions, to fail, and think out loud. So these strategies can help students understand how their thought process works and utilize this knowledge to construct better learning opportunities. That is cognitivism. Okay, let's move on to Constructivism. Okay, in Constructivism, the learner is a constructor of knowledge. Alright, so are you guys familiar with the quote, "Experience is the best teacher"? Because in Constructivism, experience is indeed the best teacher. Because the learners build knowledge through experiences and interactions. They use these experiences to form meaning, their own meaning. Okay, so if we compare cognitive learning, the students are taught to do something. Cognitive learning is about giving prior knowledge, right? That is cognitivism. While here in Constructivism, it is more about self-directed learning. The students are encouraged to discover something on their own. So constructivist classrooms are student-centered. The teachers acts as the facilitator. Okay, so I have here an example, a picture. In this picture, the kids are given puzzles. Okay, so the kids were not really given instructions on what to do with these puzzles. It's more on self-discovery. It's up to the students on what they are going to do with the puzzles. It's more on self-discovery and interaction. The teachers in Constructivism serve as a guide to help students create their own learning and understanding through experience and interaction. So according to Vygotsky, students learn best when they interact with those whose proficiency level is higher than their own, which makes them allowed to complete tasks they are not yet able to do independently. Okay, so constructivism is about learning through interaction and experiences. That is constructivism. Okay, let's move on to the fourth theory, which is the connectivism. Connectivism is actually very relevant to us. Why? Because it is a learning theory for the 21st century. It is a theory for our generation. So it is developed by Siemens and Stevens Down. Now, the idea of connectivism is people process information by forming connections. Why is this a theory for the 21st century? This theory has developed with the digital and technology age. Connectivism explains how internet technologies have created new opportunities for people like us to learn and share information across the World Wide Web and among themselves. So a key feature of connectivism is that much learning can happen across peer networks that take place online. So connectivism is just like what we are doing right now, right? We are learning through online with the use of technology. So let me give an example. Let's say a student wants to know how COVID-19 affects the body. Okay, so the student has no idea about it. She's very confused about how COVID-19 affects the body. So what she did is she starts to open her Facebook account, then eventually a friend posted an article about what is COVID-19. But the article is too broad, so she scrolled into the comment section instead. In the comment section, there is a YouTube link about COVID-19 and how it affects the human body. So she watched it and she now gained knowledge about COVID-19 and how it affects the body. Okay, so as we observed, the student just used various forms of information using the internet, right? So these technologies include web browsers, email, wikis, blogs, social networks, YouTube, and any other tool which enables the users to learn and share information with other people. So, in connectivism, a learning community is described as a node, and a learning network are the nodes coming together to form mass intelligence. This is what connectivism is all about. Teachers can apply connectivism in their classroom to help students make connections to things that excite them, helping them to learn better. Teachers can use digital media to make good, positive connections to learning. They can help create connections and relationships with their students and with their peer groups to help students feel motivated about learning. So in short, connectivism is about using different modes of technology to learn to connect with other people in order to gain more knowledge. That is what connectivism is. Now we have reached the last theory, which is the humanism. Okay, so humanism is very closely related to constructivism. Why? Because it focuses on the idea of self-actualization. Humanism believes in the idea that everyone functions under a hierarchy of needs. It believes the idea that everyone has their own interests, has their own needs to meet. In humanism, learning is a way to fulfill an individual's potential rather than meeting specific learning targets. So learners are trusted to determine their own goals, set standards, and evaluate their own work. Therefore, in humanism, the interests of the students really matter. The teachers are facilitators and coaches recognizing the unique needs of each student and supporting their academic and social development. Okay, we have an example of humanism. The teacher begins each day with a morning meeting to check in on her students' emotional well-being and proactively teach them specific coping skills and strategies. So the teacher really cares for her students. That is an example of humanism. Another example is the teacher sets aside an hour of time each week for students to learn about and create anything they want, utilizing the framework the teacher provides. So that is humanism. Teachers can create classroom environments that help students get closer to their self-actualization. Educators can help fulfill students' emotional and physical needs, giving them a safe and comfortable place to learn, plenty of foods, and the support they need to succeed. So humanism, guys, is the kind of environment that promotes the most conducive to help students learn better and more productively. So that is humanism. Okay, so we are done with the 5 major learning theories. There are actually more learning theories, but we are just focusing or discussing 5 learning theories. Now, let's answer the final question. Why is it important for us, especially that we are learning to be a teacher? Why is it important for us to know the kinds of learning theories? Okay, so all teachers must have a thorough understanding of the various learning theories to understand how to support, motivate, and inspire all students to succeed in their learning. So by studying these learning theories, teachers begin to understand the process of learning and how children develop in a variety of subjects and reach particular developmental milestones. So that is why we need to study these types of learning theories. So that is all about this discussion. Again, I am Dara Joy. I'm on Real. I hope that you guys learned something. So thank you for listening.